Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community, welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, life coach, author, trainer, musician, singer, songwriter, friend, podcast host, ready to give to you everything that I've learned and earned, and returning to you in care and compassion, love for you in the self-help field, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, everything, relationships, whatever you want to upgrade and enhance. This is the podcast for you, because we're just going to give you tons of insights, tons of quotes, tons of strategies and tools and principles and practices to enhance and advance your life. So, because this is what it's all about: claiming your power, clarifying your purpose, and cultivating your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible. So ultimately, you can live the best life and then give the best life to others, because that's where the ultimate fulfillment comes from not just growing and achieving, which is part of life, of course, but also contributing. That's where the juice, that's where the joy from the infinite sun rays is. That's where the heat and the love and the joy and the passion comes from giving yourself to the world in care and compassion and talent and gifts and skills and abilities. So thank you for joining us on this podcast. It's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be on the show with you. And just every day I'm just in awe that I'm able to be on a show like this and be able to be tuned into multiple platforms and just give of myself to the world and help transform and upgrade this world. So today's podcast is called Marching to Your Own Drumbeat. And before we actually get into the juice of this content, what is going on there? Cameron C-Dubs, what's up, man?
Hello, Anthony. Very excited for this episode.
Yeah.
Because not only have I been a drummer for over a decade now, but thankfully I've been the type to mostly march to my own beat, in the sense that a lot of people will try and influence you to do something different with your life, go in a different path. And I think if you experience true joy and passion for what you're doing, then none of that will even matter. You won't care what people think about the beat of your drum, because it's not really up to you. Like, I remember trying to explain to people why I do what I do and why I love it. And I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people love being astronauts, or love race car driving, or love playing volleyball, or love playing soccer, or love, you know what I mean? It's almost not up to us. It's like something within us that pulls us towards that thing.
Yes.
As difficult as marching to the beat of your own drum is or sounds, it's probably the path of least resistance for you. Yeah. But I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this, because I know Wayne Dyer talked about this a lot. And I think you mentioned the book Wisdom of the Ages, or something like that. Yeah, I had the audio, which was incredible. Just him talking about every chapter being a new like philosopher and teacher.
Yes.
And one of them was a big sort of
that was lesson. The theme of that book, right?
Yeah, pretty.
That was basically the theme of that book, right? It's funny, I'm going to read a quote from Henry David Thoreau from that book, as well as read a few things that he talked about becoming nonconformist and marching to the beat of your own drum. And, I remember hearing one of these spiritual teachers say, if I were to tell you what life's all about, he would say it in this most profound and easy and simplest way possible. It would be to search and yearn and starve and journey until you hear the music. And when you hear the music, whatever that music is for you, dance to it. Perichoresis with it, which is Latin form for perimeter, and choresis like choreography, the dance of life, dancing around the perimeter of life, and understanding that we all have a song to sing, or some poem to write, or some book to write, or some play to compose, or something to create, computer, board building, it doesn't really matter. I think your genius, your purpose, your passion is one way of God speaking to you, through you, to express unconditional love through you in its own unique way. That the oneness comes from the many, that love takes many forms. And when you're expressing your genius and your passion and marching to your own drumbeat, that is love creatively working through you. And it's not just doing what you love, but finding the love in what you do. And let me read you from that book, Wisdom of the Ages, from Henry David Thoreau. And I'm going to read this slowly as Anthony Cheam can read it, of course. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him or her step to the music which he hears, however measured and far away. And when it comes to living your life this way, you're going to have a lot of resistance. You're going to have a lot of people saying, no, don't go that way. And not because they are judging, it's because they actually do love you at some level. And oftentimes people don't want you to go that way. It's because it'll actually be a reflection of their own failure to actually march to their own drumbeat. But to me, you're doing a total disservice to the world and to your own soul by negating that, or not listening to your heart, not listening to that song and marching to that song. Even in the book, The Alchemist, one of my favorite quotes, and I might be paraphrasing here, but he says this, a quote from the book. He says, tell your heart that actually, no, let me just look this up because it's too good. I just lost my train of thought. Hold on. Let me just look this up. Tell your heart. Yes, tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams, because every second of the search is a second's encounter with God and with eternity. Let me read that again. Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams, because every second of the search is a second's encounter with God and with eternity. And I've certainly felt that when I'm listening to my heart and my heart is open and I'm deep in stillness and silence, and when God is speaking to me, when love is speaking to me, and I go and search and I'm listening to my heart and what my heart and my soul and my spirit is telling me what to do, and they're fully integrated, I've never suffered. I've never suffered on that search. And Wayne Dyer continues to go and talk about that. And let me just read a couple of things from that book as well, because it's so good. He says here in this quote here, walk with Thoreau in your mind. Listen to the voice you hear and the drum beat only you can feel, and honor it while honoring it in those you love as well. It is the ultimate act of unconditional love. While it may not get you any awards while you are alive, you can take comfort in knowing that you fulfilled your own divine purpose and encouraged others to do the same. Wow. To live that way, to live and breathe that way, to act that way, to think that way, every single day, to march to your own drumbeat, to listen, to be a creative act of your heart and soul's imagination, to listen to that still and silent voice speaking to you that you got to write your book or compose your play or build your daycare or take the photos. And I know Mary picks 7 days. She's a photographer. Her soul's telling her to actually be a photographer and to take pictures and to be a creative act of love through her own unique way and her own unique delivery system. So the next time someone tells you, you're out of this world, or you're not doing what you're meant to do, respect them. Say, I respect your opinion. I respect that. And walk away and pray and send loving intentions toward them and say, may God guide them to their own drumbeat, so they listen to their own drumbeat. And then you go on living the way you need to live like for me, when I'm on this podcast or I'm coaching or I'm speaking in front of audience or playing music, whatever, I'm doing it because this is my calling. This is my dharma. This is what I was put on this planet for. And regardless of how many people judge it or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. In fact, in my book, U 2.0, at the very end of the book, let me just read you something that I wrote. And it was sort of just I wanted to end the book with something that you could leave, like something that you could leave with and live organically and naturally. And one of the things is, I'll write it here. Throughout this book, I use the word authentic. By definition, authentic means original, real, or genuine. That's been the whole thrust of this book, to empower you to live and express yourself in the most authentic, original, real, and genuine way possible. I believe that's everyone's calling, whether you know it or not. I think it's a tragedy when a person lives inauthentically or unnaturally, and deep down they know it. They struggle with themselves and the ones who love them because they're expected to be a certain way, or either upholding the family name, or becoming a doctor like their mom or dad, or taking over the family business, or being forced to follow a religion that doesn't resonate with them. This happens all too frequently. I was fortunate enough to have a father who supported any endeavor I wished to pursue. His only rules: follow your heart and work hard. Throughout my life, I've had dreams and desires, and many times I've quit only to try something else. Finally, finding something that feels natural to me was discovered by trial and error. And here's my final wish to you. Find an arena, pursuit, job, hobby, or activity that feels natural and is your own unique avenue of authenticity. It's so easy to get caught up by the expectations of your peers or your family. It's so easy to do that. But that's why meditation and stillness and going for walks in nature and contemplation and re-examining, reflecting your life is so important. Because it's not about what other people are doing, it's what you want. What is it that turns your heart? What is it that speaks to you? And live and breathe that. Any thoughts there, Cam?
Yeah, I think we tend to kind of push ourselves down because of how often we've been pushed down throughout life. And it's weird. I think a lot of people are looking externally for validation on their own dreams, if that makes sense. And they don't man, it's hard to put into words. Like, they don't pat themselves on the back for what they love. They kind of just feel shame for it, or they feel like it's wrong. And I just feel like more people should let themselves naturally enjoy the beat of their own drum, regardless of what other people might have judged that beat to be.
Yes. Yeah. Well, here's something to think about. I want everyone to think about, imagine every person on the planet was wiped away and you were the only one left on the planet. Okay? And then all of a sudden, a bunch of aliens were introduced on the planet Earth, and you know nobody. You knew absolutely no one. Everyone was foreign. You didn't recognize anyone. They were different species and different people, and no one knew you. And so how would you live? What would you want them to know about you, about life, about your version of yourself and your philosophy and what you were meant to do? What would you do? And you had no care about what others were going to say about you, right? It's something I think about a lot, because we put so much emphasis on the people that know us, and they're like, oh, what are they going to think about us if they find out I decided to quit my job and pursue my dream as a violinist, or pursue my, right? Yeah.
When I pick up a guitar, I play something and I'm writing a song and it sounds good to me, but then I start thinking too much into what would people think about this song? How do you think it will do on the internet? Do you think people would? Do you think this will take off? Do you think this will? Like the ego kind of comes in and starts putting reward and result on art, on purpose. And I realize that the best material and the most fun, the most connected I feel when it comes to music is when I'm playing by myself and not recording it, not even writing it down. Playing for the sake of enjoying the sound instantly right there live.
It's act for the sake of the action. So Cam was just saying on people on Instagram that are listening on Instagram, he was just saying, just when you do something and then your thoughts and your ego erupts and you're just like, oh, what are people going to think about this, or what reward am I going to get out? That's the ego. That's ego speaking. But when you just do it for the sake of doing it because you love it, and you're expressing your love, that's a reward for the sake of the action itself. That's when you know it's you, that you were meant to do it. You're not doing it for some future award or achievement. You're doing it because that's just who you are in that moment, and you're expressing who you are, love in that moment through your own unique abilities, song, business, whatever it might be. And I have to say, that's how I do my very best to live. Now, my ego, man, is huge. There are times my ego just takes over. My cynic just takes over. And there are times when I just need to back up for a second and re-engineer my mind and just kind of call myself on certain things. And let me tell you, but the song is always playing. All we need to do is retune into that radio station of our own drum beat. It's like a radio. Like there's always static noise and white noise if you're not tuned into the right radio station. Sometimes you just got to make a few shifts in your awareness and you retune back into that particular frequency, and bang, you're back in the game. But sometimes you got to take a step back to be retuned. Sometimes you got to take some moment. You got to rest. You got to sleep. You got to just chill and walk away. And then that becomes your retunement. So thank you guys. I hope this show brought a lot of inspiration and ideas and strategies for reflection in your life so you can actually begin to march to your own drumbeat. And if you are marching to your own drumbeat, let me hear your song. If you know what I'm saying, let me hear it. I want to hear your song, because it's not just about me, speaking about my inspirations in my song. I want to bring out the song that is in you so you can sing your song. You can write your book, write your poem. I'm screwing up a lot of my words here today there, Cam. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm just so amped up about this stuff. So anyway, so thank you for joining us again to your continued upgrade and evolution. We'll see you tomorrow. And actually tomorrow's podcast and the following podcast, tomorrow's podcast is with a friend of mine, a colleague. She is a tremendous, energizing titan when it comes to nutrition and plant-based nutrition. She's a vegan, and she's more than equipped to educate people on plant-based nutrition. We're going to call that podcast Plant Power. And on Wednesday, we're going to talk we had him on the show a few weeks ago, about a month ago, Al McBride. He's a peak performance coach, expert, has his own program called the Goliath Method. And we're going to have him talk about how to turn your calamities into opportunities. So man, I'm looking forward to those two. It's not going to be about me. It's about an undulation and a coalescing of people talking about ideas and transforming your life to the next. So thank you for joining us to your continued upgrade and evolution. Live it up with power, purpose, and passion. God bless you guys. Have an amazing Monday.